At dinner, my fiancé's friends demanded I be a man and give her my credit card for their girls' trip. My fiancé agreed. I said, "Okay." Then I stood up, handed her the card, and walked out. The panicked voicemail I got 20 minutes later when she realized the card was my old frozen one. Last night, I ended a 3-year relationship over dinner. Wasn't planning on it, but when you see someone's true face, there's no unseen it. Quick background. I'm Mike, 36, own a construction business I built from the ground up. Started with just me and a pickup truck. Now have 25 employees and contracts booked solid for the next 18 months. I work my ass off 60-hour weeks minimum. Not complaining. That's what it takes to build something real. My fiancée, Jen, 32, was a pharmaceutical sales rep. We met at a fundraiser, got engaged last year. Wedding was set for October. She's gorgeous, outgoing, the kind of woman who lights up a room when she walks in. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. We maintain separate residences by mutual choice. She has a condo downtown that she bought before we met, and I have my house in the suburbs. She stays at my place most weekends, and I keep a key to her condo for emergencies. It worked for us, especially with our busy schedules. Jen has 3 close friends she's known since college: Tina, Lauren, and Carrara. They call themselves the Squad. I always thought it was kind of juvenile for women in their 30s, but whatever made her happy. From day one, I got the sense they didn't like me. Nothing overt, just subtle digs, eye-rolling when I spoke, inside jokes I wasn't part of. I tried, God knows I tried. Invited them to my place for dinner, paid for group outings, remembered birthdays, and sent gifts. Nothing changed. Eventually, I stopped trying so hard and just kept things civil. Jen always defended them. They're protective of me, that's all. They've seen me date some real jerks. Fair enough. About 2 months ago, they started planning a girls' trip to Miami. Seemed fine at first. 4 nights at some fancy beach resort, spa treatments, the works. Jen mentioned the cost was around $3,500 per person, which seemed high but not outrageous for a luxury vacation. She makes good money, so I didn't think much of it. As the trip got closer, I started noticing some tension. Jen seemed stressed about money, which was unusual. She's always been financially responsible, one of the things I loved about her. We don't have joint accounts, but we're transparent about our finances since we're planning a future together. Last week, she asked if I'd cover her car payment and insurance this month because of the trip. I agreed and transferred $850 to her account. We help each other out sometimes. No big deal. I even saved the payment confirmation email just as I do with any financial transaction between us. Then 2 days ago, she asked if I could loan her $2,000 for the trip. This raised some red flags. Why was she suddenly short? I thought you budgeted for this months ago, I said. Well, there are some unexpected expenses, she replied vaguely. Tina found this yacht excursion that would be amazing, and the hotel got upgraded and she trailed off when she saw my expression. What? She asked defensively. Nothing. It just seems like the cost keeps growing. Wasn't it $3,500 originally? Things add up, Mike. It's not like you can't afford it. Something in her tone bothered me, but I let it go. I transferred the $2,000 that evening, again, saving the confirmation email with a note about it being a loan for the Miami trip. I'm meticulous about financial records for my business, and that habit carries into my personal life. Fast forward to last night, Jen suggested dinner at Binny's, an upscale Italian place we like. When I arrived, I was surprised to see Tina, Lauren, and Kara at the table with her. They were all dressed up, cocktails already in hand. "Hope you don't mind," Jen said, kissing my cheek. The girls wanted to finalize trip details, so I thought we could all have dinner. I minded, actually. I'd been looking forward to a quiet dinner with just Jen after a hellish day dealing with supplier problems, but I plastered on a smile and sat down. Dinner started off okay. I mostly listened as they discussed their itinerary, occasionally checking my phone for emails from a client with an emergency situation. The eye-rolling started when I excused myself to take a quick call. When I returned, I heard Tina saying something about me being always working, never present. They didn't realize I was back. "That's how he affords my lifestyle," Jen replied with a laugh that didn't sit right. I can't complain. They all laughed, then noticed me standing there. An awkward silence followed, broken by Lauren raising her glass. to Miami, 4 days of freedom. The dinner continued and I tried to engage, asking about their plans, making small talk, but every comment I made was either ignored or met with a condescending response, particularly from Tina, who seemed to be the ringleader. After the entree were cleared, they ordered another round of drinks. That's when Tina leaned across the table toward me. "So, Mike, we have a little situation with the trip," she said, her tone casual but her eyes calculating. "Oh." I glanced at Jen, who was suddenly very interested in her napkin. "We found this incredible VIP package. Private cabana at the hottest club in South Beach. Exclusive access, bottle service, the works. But it's pricey, like $5,000 for the group." I blinked. "That seems excessive for one night." Tina laughed. "That's because you don't understand Miami. This is the club. Celebrities, athletes, everyone who matters goes there. And I wasn't sure where this was going." And Kara jumped in. Jen said, "You might help out with it." I looked at Jen again. She gave me a pleading smile. "I might have mentioned you could contribute. It would be such an amazing experience." Something cold settled in my stomach. "You want me to give you $5,000 for a single night at a club?" "Not just any club," Lauren emphasized as if I was missing the point. "Don't be so uptight, Mike." Tina said, "Successful men take care of their women. Be a man and support your fiancée having fun with her friends." The table went quiet. I stared at Tina, then at each of the others in turn, finally landing on Jen. She wasn't defending me. She was nodding along. "Jen," I said quietly, "can we talk privately for a moment?" Tina snorted. "There's nothing to discuss. Either you support her or you don't." "I wasn't asking you, Tina," I replied, keeping my voice level. "It's fine, Mike," Jen said, reaching for my hand across the table. "I know it's a lot, but I really want this. The girls have been planning it for ages. I don't ask you for much, except she had the loan for the trip, the car payment, and insurance I was covering. The ridiculous engagement ring she had specifically picked out that cost more than my first work truck. You already spent the $2,000 I gave you 2 days ago, didn't you?" I asked, realizing what had happened. She had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. "We had to put down deposits, and now you need $5,000 more. Don't be so dramatic," Tina cut in. "If you can't afford it, just say so." That was the moment. The exact moment something snapped inside me. 3 years of subtle disrespect, of boundaries being pushed, of being treated like an ATM, all crystallized into perfect clarity. I reached into my wallet and pulled out a credit card, specifically my old business card that I'd frozen but not canceled 6 months ago when my wallet was temporarily misplaced. After finding my wallet, I'd gotten a replacement card with a new number, but kept the old one in a separate section of my wallet as a backup in case I ever had issues with my main card. The account was still active, but the card itself was frozen via my banking app. "You know what? You're right," I said, sliding it across the table to Jen. "Here, have fun in Miami." The look of surprise and then delight on their faces made what came next even better. The server had just brought the check and placed it on the table. I picked it up, noted. The total was $28,743, pulled out 3 $100 bills, and placed them with the check. "I'm done," I said simply. "The engagement, the relationship, all of it. Find another man to be your ATM. I'm out." Jen's face drained of color. "Mike, what are you talking about? You can't be serious. Dead serious. I can accept a lot of things, but disrespect isn't one of them." I looked at her friends. "Congratulations, ladies. You finally gotten rid of me. Hope it was worth it." I walked out, ignoring Jen calling my name. Got in my truck and drove straight home. My phone started blowing up immediately with texts and calls, all from Jen. I ignored them and poured myself a whiskey when I got home. About 15 minutes later, just enough time for them to have tried using the card for something after my cash-covered dinner, a voicemail came through. I decided to listen to it, figuring it would be Jen either raging or crying. It was both, but not for the reason I expected. "Mike, what the hell? Your card got declined. We tried to use it for a round of drinks and the bartender said it was frozen. Do you know how humiliating that was? Tina had to pay for the drinks. You gave me a frozen card. Are you freaking kidding me? Call me back right now." I started laughing so hard I nearly choked on my whiskey. She wasn't upset about me ending our relationship. She was upset about being embarrassed in front of her friends when the card declined. The calls and texts continued for hours. I turned my phone off and slept better than I had in months. This morning, I woke up to 37 missed calls, 19 voicemails, and 54 text messages. The progression was fascinating. Voicemail 1, the angry one about the card declining. Voicemail 2, Mike, I'm sorry if we upset you. The girls were just joking around. Call me back so we can talk about this. Voicemail 3, babe, please. You're overreacting. It was just a miscommunication. Don't throw away 3 years over one stupid dinner. Voicemail 4. If this is about the money, forget the club thing. We don't need it. Just please call me back. I'm outside your house. I can see your light on. Let me in so we can talk. I hadn't heard her pull up, but sure enough, when I checked, her car was in my driveway. I didn't answer the door. Boymail 6. Fine. Be childish. I'm going home. We'll talk tomorrow when you've calmed down. The next morning, the tone changed. Voicemail 7. Mike, I've been thinking all night. I understand why you were upset. Tina was out of line, but that's just how she is. You can't let her get to you like that. Voicemail 8. The girls feel terrible. They were just looking out for me. Please call me back. We need to talk about this like adults. Voicemail 9. I canceled the Miami trip. Are you happy now? Can we please just talk? By afternoon, desperation set in. Voicemail 13. Mike, please. I love you. I've called in sick to work. I can't stop crying. Don't do this to us. The final voicemail came at 4:30 p.m. I just realized something. You said you were done with the engagement before you even knew the card was declined. Were you seriously going to break up with me over one comment about money after everything we've built? That's cold, Mike. Really cold. I thought I knew you. I guess I didn't. Neither of us is perfect, but I never thought you'd throw everything away over something so small. I deserve better than this. Goodbye. And there it was. The instant victim narrative flip. In her mind, I was now the villain who cry-ended things over one comment. Not the 3 years of disrespect. Not her friends openly mocking me. Not her sitting there silently as they demanded I be a man and hand over thousands of dollars for their entertainment. I finally texted back a single message. I'll have your things from my house boxed up by this weekend. Please leave anything of mine at your condo where I can pick it up. I'll also need my house key back. Her response was immediate. Can we please just talk first? I didn't reply. An hour later, Tina called. I was surprised enough to answer. You've made your point, she said without greeting. Jen is devastated. What will it take to fix this? Nothing, I replied. There's nothing to fix. Don't be ridiculous. Everyone argues about money. You can't throw away a relationship over one disagreement. This isn't about money, Tina. It's about respect. Something you and the squad have never shown me. Oh, grow up so we tease you a little. Men are so fragile these days. I laughed. Thanks for the confirmation that ending things was the right call. Goodbye, Tina. I hung up and blocked her number. Jen's sister Amy called next. Unlike the others, Amy has always been decent to me. She's married with 2 kids, settled, mature, basically the opposite of the squad. Mike, it's Amy. Can we talk for a minute? Sure, Amy. What's up? Jen is at my house. She's a mess. I've never seen her like this. I'm sorry she's upset, but my decision is final. Amy sighed. I'm not calling to convince you to take her back. I'm conflicted. She's my sister and I love her, but what she and her friends did was really inappropriate. That surprised me. You think so? Jen told me what happened. Her version at first was that you overreacted to a simple request, but when I pressed for details, the full story came out. I love my sister, but those friends of hers have always been a problem. I've tried to talk to her about them for years, but she never listens. I appreciate your honesty, Amy. The thing is, Mike, I think this might be the wake-up call she needs. She's always had people catering to her. Our parents, her friends who encourage her worst impulses, boyfriends who give her whatever she wants. You're the first to hold her accountable. We talked for a few more minutes. Amy agreed to be present when I dropped off Jen's things and to make sure Jen returned my house key. Before hanging up, she said something that stuck with me. "For what it's worth, Mike, I think you're a good man. Maybe too good for my sister. At least the person she is right now. It's been 3 days now. I've blocked Jen and her friends on everything except email, which I've filtered to a separate folder I check once a day for anything important. Word got around to our mutual friends, and I've received a few messages of support, a few accusations of overreaction, and a lot of curious questions. I've kept my responses simple. We wanted different things. I've also contacted a lawyer friend to discuss the engagement ring, since in our state, it's considered a conditional gift that legally should be returned if the wedding doesn't happen. Rather than make it contentious, I've asked Amy to facilitate its return when I drop off Jen's belongings. The wedding venue has been notified. Deposits forfeited. I'm out about $15,000 in non-refundable payments for various vendors, but that's a small price for the clarity I got. Imagine if I discovered this dynamic after marriage, maybe with kids in the picture. My buddy Ryan, who never liked Jen but kept it to himself, came over last night with a bottle of bourbon. "You know what this was?" he said after I recounted the full story. "A test. They were testing how much of a doormat you'd be, and you failed their test, but passed the real one, the one that determines whether you respect yourself enough to walk away." He's right. Sometimes the most expensive gift you can get is seeing someone's true character before it's too late. That dinner cost me a 3-year relationship and $15,000 in lost deposits, but it saved me a lifetime of disrespect and financial manipulation. As for the frozen credit card, best prop I ever used, worth every penny of the annual fee I paid before freezing it. Update. 1 week later, the fallout continues and I'm still processing everything. Some developments worth mentioning. First, Jen hasn't given up. I dropped off her things at Amy's house as planned. 2 boxes of clothes and toiletries she kept at my place. And Amy handed me my house key and the engagement ring in its original box. Amy was supportive, but understandably torn. Jen is still her sister. Apparently, Jen had planned to ambush me at the exchange, but Amy talked her out of it. The next day, Jen showed up at my office. My assistant, who's been with me for years and knew the situation, refused to let her pass reception and politely asked her to leave. Apparently, Jen made quite a scene, eventually leaving only when my assistant mentioned that our building has security protocols for unwelcome visitors. That night, she sent a long email about how I was punishing her for one mistake and how she'd never asked for anything before this trip. This was so detached from reality that I didn't bother responding. The loan for the trip, her car payment, and the endless little gifts she expected weren't asking for anything. Please. Second, I discovered something concerning from a client who happens to be a regular at the club where we had dinner. He mentioned seeing Jen there with a group of people the night after our breakup, including a guy he recognized as someone she'd previously introduced as her old friend from college. I pressed for details without revealing the full situation, and he mentioned they seemed quite cozy. Later, I recalled that this old friend was actually an ex-boyfriend she dated before me, who she claimed was now just a friend. Out of curiosity, I checked the Instagram accounts of Tina and Lauren via a friend's account since I'm blocked. And sure enough, there were multiple photos of this guy hanging out with their group over the past few months, often when I was working late or out of town. I didn't have definitive proof of anything physical, but the pattern of deception was clear enough. I also realized that the Miami trip coincided with a music festival this ex had posted about attending on his public Facebook page. The VIP club night they wanted me to finance was at the same venue where this festival's after-parties were being held. Third, Amy called yesterday to check on me. We had a good talk, and she reluctantly shared something she felt I should know. Jen had confided in her months ago about feeling trapped in our relationship, but afraid to end it because she was comfortable with the lifestyle and status of being with a successful business owner. According to Amy, the resentment from the squad toward me stemmed partly from Jen venting her frustrations to them, often exaggerating or misrepresenting situations to paint herself as the victim. It's a pattern with her. Amy said she's done this in other relationships too. She gets bored or feels confined, but instead of having an honest conversation, she creates scenarios where her partner becomes the villain. Then when it ends, she can tell herself and everyone else that he was the problem, not her. That explains so much about our relationship dynamic. The constant small tests, the progressive boundary pushing, the instant victim flip when consequences appeared. I've been doing a lot of reflecting on why I tolerated it for so long. The truth is, Jen had many wonderful qualities. She could be incredibly loving, thoughtful, and fun when it was just the two of us. The problems always surfaced around her friends or when financial expectations came up. I realize now I was unconsciously falling into my dad's pattern. He spent 23 years married to my mom, who treated him as an ATM while running around with her friends spending his money. He worked himself into an early grave trying to keep up with her demands. I was on the same path without realizing it. Several people have asked if I regret the dramatic way things ended. I don't. Could I have had a serious conversation with Jen first? Maybe tried one last time to make her see the problem? Possibly. But I'd already had versions of that conversation multiple times over 3 years, and nothing changed. Sometimes a clean break is the only break that works. I've also started the process of trying to recoup some of the money I loaned Jen. I've compiled records of all the transfers, with their associated notes specifying they were loans along with text messages where she acknowledged them as such. My lawyer believes I have a solid small claims case for at least the $2,000 I transferred specifically for the Miami trip, though he advised me to decide whether the stress of legal proceedings is worth it. As for the future, I'm focusing on my business and myself for now. This experience has been a harsh reminder to maintain my boundaries and self-respect. It's also shown me what I don't want in a relationship, which is just as valuable as knowing what I do want. The most surprising outcome, I'm not as devastated as I expected to be. There's grief, yes, but also relief. Like putting down a heavy backpack I've been carrying so long, I forgot how it felt to stand up straight. Update, 6 months later. Life takes unexpected turns. 6 months post-breakup, and I'm in a better place than I could have imagined. First, the business is thriving. Without the constant drain of Jen's expectations, I found myself with more energy and focus. We landed 2 major contracts that have expanded our operation considerably. I've hired 5 new employees and promoted my assistant to operations manager, a move that was long overdue. On the personal front, I've had minimal contact with Jen. She finally stopped reaching out after about 2 months. Around the same time, I filed in small claims court for the $2,850 in documented loans. We settled before the court date. She paid back $2,000 and I waived the rest to be done with it. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard she's been telling people I had a midlife crisis and couldn't handle a strong woman. Whatever helps her sleep at night. The squad seems to have fractured. My client who frequents that club mentioned that Tina and Lauren had a very public argument there a few months back. Kara has apparently distanced herself from both of them. I can't say I'm surprised. Friendships built on tearing others down rarely last. Amy and I have maintained a cordial relationship which was unexpected but welcome. She and her husband have had me over for dinner a couple of times. Her kids still call me Uncle Mike, which always makes me smile. Through Amy, I learned that Jen is officially dating that old friend now. The ex I suspected all along. Apparently, he's having his own issues with the remaining squad members already. History repeating itself. Not my circus, not my monkeys. As for me, I started dating again about 3 months ago. Nothing serious yet, but I've met some interesting women who have their own careers, ambitions, and solid friend groups that don't revolve around drama. The contrast with what I had before is stark. I've also reconnected with old friends I drifted away from during my relationship with Jen. Another red flag I missed. We never explicitly fought about my friends, but somehow my time with them gradually decreased as her social calendar took precedence. The moment that crystallized how much healthier my life has become came last month. I was having dinner with Sarah, a landscape architect I've been seeing. We were discussing an upcoming trip she was planning with her friends to a hiking retreat. She mentioned the cost, then immediately said, "But I've been saving for this, so it's all good." Such a simple statement, but it nearly floored me. The assumption of financial independence, the lack of expectation that I would or should contribute, it was refreshingly mature. Later that evening, when the check came, She reached for her wallet automatically. I insisted on paying since I'd invited her, but her default wasn't to expect it. Small thing perhaps, but telling. The frozen credit card sits in a drawer now, a reminder of the moment I chose self-respect over appeasement. Sometimes I look at it when I need a boost, a tangible reminder that standing your ground can be difficult but necessary. I don't regret a minute of that night at Bellini's or the pain of the weeks that followed. It was the most expensive dinner of my life and the best investment I've ever made. For anyone reading this who recognizes their own relationship in my story, know that it's never too late to draw a line. The people who truly care about you won't constantly test your boundaries or treat you like an ATM. And sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It's simply recognizing that you deserve better.